thinking back and seeing the reactions that I'm getting, I think that I did not sufficiently clarify the meaning of the words in the first section of Tal, of the Ois Lamed Tes, when it says that the principal difference between Chochmah and Bina, that Chochmah is toifes be'etzem hadover, and Bina is toifes only b'mitzias hadover. And this word toifes has caused some misunderstanding, where we fail to realize the phenomenal difference between the word toifes and masig. Although they could be interchangeable terms, but in here, this context, they meant totally differently. Masig means something that is grasped. By what? You reach it, you catch it. Like if you chase somebody. The Pasuk speaks about Orim Miklot, that if somebody, Haman's son, killed somebody in B'shoyei, and his next of kin is chasing after him, so the Torah says he should prepare Orim Miklot in the proper clarity, so that lest the Goy Hadam, lest the king chases Vehi-sigoi. What does Vehi-sigoi mean? He will actually catch him, grab him. So Hasoga means to grab it, to bring it to yourself and be in total touch with it. In this context, the word Chochmah toifes be'etzem hadover means something completely different. The word toifes over here means, thank you, what triggers its interest. What does it pay attention to? What is it looking for? That's my toifes. And as much as we discussed it and see that, I realize that it's not sufficient. Let me just put it into a moshel, as we always do. Two people observe a table. An engineer or a carpenter, or a homeowner. They observe the same table, and they're both studying it and very interested in it. But the interests are totally different. The engineer is trying to understand how it was accomplished, but the carpenter, what's its structure, what's holding it together. The homeowner does understand, what does it stand for? How will it serve in my dining room? How will it fit? Literally a totally different perspective. You can argue that the carpenter is really getting into the nitty-gritty of it, and the homeowner is just looking at it superficially. The real truth is, though, that the homeowner, he relates to the etzem inyan. What is it about? Whereas the carpenter is looking on the chitzonis, on the mitzias hadover, on its structure. This is the difference between Chochmah and Bina. This tells us immediately, Chochmah brings the nefesh along with it. Because he's a human being, that way he's interested in the human part of things. The carpenter does not bring the nefesh back with it. He brings his talent, his expertise, and his business with him, his interest, his practical interest. Totally different approach, totally different background, totally different teifes, totally different grasp of interest. This is what the Rebbe says. The word teifes over here means exactly that. Chochmah is teifes be'atzem hadover. Chochmah recognizes and is drawn to the Etzem HaDover, and it wants to get in and fully relate to the Etzem HaDover. There's no grasping there. There's no taking. This is the Etzem HaDover. The Etzem HaDover stays where it is. Bina is stays in the Mitzvah, Rak b'Mitzvah HaDover. Okay.
What is the Lushan Teufels?
Teufels means, okay. The word Teufels it means this the following. You look at the thing, you look at the table. What do you recognize in the table? The carpenter recognizes one thing, and the homeowner recognizes that does mean Teufels. He sees a different thing. He's Teufels. He grasps. He recognizes a presence. Two different recognitions completely. That's mean Teufels.
Normally we touch Teufels, we hold on to.
No? That's why I'm going to 10 times explain. This is not what it means here.
I know, but why is the revolution using the revolution?
Because the truth is, what happens over here, he is grasped. But the reason he is grasped is because he grasps, because he recognizes. That's mean Teufels. When he observes something, what does he see? He sees that which is at that level, at the Chochmah level. This is what it means Teufels. After you reflect on it, you will see that it's a perfectly well-suited expression, except we have to know how to interpret it. Like I give you an example of the carpenter versus the homeowner. They're both looking at the same thing. The homeowner is Teufels. He recognizes a different aspect of it than the carpenter. Why is it called Teufels? Because it's the same table. So in order for you to recognize it, you have to discern that aspect of it. That's mean Teufels. When you look at the table, oh, there is this in this, or there is this in this. That's mean Teufels. The carpenter also sees the table, but he's not Teufels that aspect. It doesn't interest him. Yes.
Yeah. Well, this you're talking about. Are you saying something? It's more than just to catch your attention. What catches the carpenter's attention is not the same as what catches the buyer's attention.
Yes. He recognizes in what he's observing totally different aspect than the other person. That's mean Teufels.
Are we placing a value judgment?
No.
Who's okay?
No, we're not placing any value. We're saying this is how they relate to things.
Right. Okay. Okay.
as I explained, Chochmah is a nefesh reflection. Chochmah brings along with it its source, it's a nefesh, the nefesh aspect, the human aspect. Not his experience, not his business interest. The fact that he's a living human being and he has a human quality, that's what he brings along. That's your Chochmah. Bina takes from the Chochmah but a different aspect completely. Okay. So we went into the next section. We started saying that Chochmah, Menachem the Abba, is l'maylo mishtalshelus, and above the principle of hishtalshelus. And the Rebbe goes on. Let's go through it very quickly. Ve-zeh-inyan, and this is the principle. Menachem the Abba in l'maylo mishtalshelus. The principle that Menachem the Abba, Menachem, the brain aspect of Chochmah, is above hishtalshelus. The inyan hishtalshelus ilu v'yolu, because the inyan of hishtalshelus, which is ilu v'olu, cause and effect, shayach is applicable, it's possible, rag b'pinas mitzius levat, only in that which is a mitzius. A mitzius means something that has a structure, something that occupies space outside of itself. The mitzius. And it can expand, it can cause things occurring in the space outside of itself. It expands, it builds. Ma shein kein bedavar atzmi. In contrast, on the other hand, bedavar atzmi, something that is an atzmi, which is not a mitzius. Atzmi means it's internal. Its truth is internal to itself. It does not need to be recognized to occupy space. It does not need to express itself. It is true by virtue of being what it is. Again, this brings up, because of the various influences that we come with, what is it that does not need a space? Everything in the world needs space. Where does Dover Atzmi come from? The answer is, Atzmi is something which is godly. God does not occupy space. It's not space dependent. Dover Atzmi is reflective of its creator. Since we have now expanded on the idea of Chochmah, that Chochmah refers to the Etzem HaDover, let's go back to our example, illustration of Chochmah versus Bina. The table. Okay? Here is a klot kasha. The homeowner sees a table and he sees its utility, he sees its beauty, he sees how it would beautify his home, or serve his home, and so forth. The carpenter sees the table from a different angle. I'd like to ask, which part of the table occupies space? Stands. The carpenter's view or the homeowner's view?
The carpenter's view.
Baruch Hashem. Shake it. For once we agree.
I'll pound it, shake it.
Do you understand what the implication of it here is? The content is an edover atzmi. It's true. It doesn't occupy. No, it doesn't occupy space. It's a reality. It's a concept, and this concept is not an imaginary concept. It's a real concept, supported by the human life element. Ila ba'olul is possible only in a metzius. Ben dover atzmi ein shayach inyan or atzmi the inyan of Yom is not applicable, not shayach altogether. Why is that so? The Rebbe explains the last words on that page. The inyan ila ba'olul be-zeh-inyan, because inyan ila ba'olul takes place be-zeh-inyan in two manners. Ila ba'olul means that you have the yilo, you have the higher element, and that causes something else to develop, to surface. How does that occur? Where does this other thing come from? You have only the ilo, but where does the olul come from? It happens in two ways. Or either that the olul is actually mahus acher, is a totally different truth presence, mahus mehoyilo, than the ilo and the cause. It's actually a completely different aspect. Rak except shenimtzo kolul behoyilo. It is present, kolul included in the essence of the ilo. There is the element of the olul. If it is nimtzo kolul behoyilo, it's not kolul behoyilo like a handkerchief in your pocket. Nimtzo kolul behoyilo means it's included in the ilo element. There's only the ilo. Part and parcel of the ilo is that it has inherently, conceptually, the olul.
What? Yeah.
And thus, the olul is noilad al yodoi. Is born. The ilo gives birth to the olul. Prior to this birth, you don't see it. But the ilo, because it inherently contains that element, eventually it gives birth. That's what ilo does. It gives birth to that which is contained within it.
And the olul becomes now a separate metzius.
What?
The olul now becomes distinct.
Well, one second. So this is one thing. Nimtza kolul beho'olul v'neilad al yodei, and it's born by al yodei by its effect. Or another way of ilo v'yolo, sheha'olul hu ha'ora min ha'yilo, that the olul is not only is an implication that needs to be understood correctly. Clearly, the olul has to have a clear relationship to the ilo. The first version is clear. The ilo includes the element of the olul. The second one is that the olul is a ha'ora min ha'ilo. It's a ha'ora. A ha'ora means a reflection of. Pardon me, let me just get. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהכל יתברך. A ha'ora, a reflection. Umistaif mimenu, and it emanates from it. It's an add-on, but this add-on comes from the ilah. As for an example, a branch that is an add-on and adds itself onto the ilah, onto the tree. The tree is whole without the branch. The tree does not contain the branch internal to itself. But the tree has such a powerful presence that it has a order. It can be reflected in a branch. In order to have a branch, the tree has to stand on ground, has to have space to expand. It's not an internal process. It has to be able to expand and express itself. And how does it express itself? What does it express? It expresses its ha'ora. What does a ha'ora mean? A ha'ora means the best way is to give it an illustration, emotion. And our emotions are very clear and very simple. The human being in a home, we understand the significance of the human being in a home. When you're in somebody's home and he is present, that presence puts a certain reality into this home, and it puts a certain demand of deference on the part of you as a visitor. You have to recognize his presence, but he's really present. When he is absent from his home, but it's still his home. Even though he is absent, it's still his home. In what way is it his home if he's not there? When you're in his home, you can tell that this is somebody's home, particularly if you actually know whose home it is. Something remains there. What is it that remains? This is called the ha'ora. This ha'ora is reflective of the reality of the person himself. It is not a secondary, it's reflective of the truth of what he is. Why is there a ha'ora? Here's the point. The reason there is a ha'ora, when you own a home, and your presence is in the home, not only when you're there, but even when you're absent, the reason that is true is that your understanding of the home and your occupation of the home, and the reason for your having home is not just practical. When I sleep, I need the home. When I don't sleep, I don't need the home. No, it's not true. There's a certain truth about it. A much deeper reality than its usage. This reality creates a ha'ora. It leaves its impact, even when it does not really occupy and create it. This is ha'ora. A tree produces a branch. The branch is a reflection that this is a real tree. It's a ha'ora of the tree. It alludes to the fact this is a real tree. It has a force of growth and force of expansion. It's not going to stay put. If you allow it, it's going to expand indefinitely. This means the ha'ara. So this is what he says. A branch that is an add-on to the ilan. It is true it's an add-on, but it is an add-on due to the ilan, to the phenomenal truth of the ilan. The ilan creates it. The ilan invents it. There is nothing that brings that. The ilan invents the branch because of its personal reality. This means Elo v'yom. That's what the Elo is called. Elo. He is the cause of it. As for example, this is not another example of this inyan. Okay. Now the mashal, we have to discern which aspect of Ilah v'Olol the mashal represents. We said there are two types of Ilah v'Olol. One is that the Olol is initially contained within the reality of the Olol, of the Ilah. Another is that the Olol is a birth, is a ha'ara of the Ilah. Now, there's a big difference between these two, the effects. If we say that the Olol is the ha'ara of the Ilah, so then the Olah is very similar to the Ilah. It is caused by the Ilah because of the reality of the Ilah, but nonetheless, it's a ha'ara. It's a real ha'ara. What does it reflect? The truth of the Ilah. The other version, when it is internally contained within it, it's a different thing. Like we said, fruit on the tree. Fruit does not exist in the tree. It's not the ha'ara of the tree. The branch is a ha'ara. It's very similar to the tree. Fruit is not similar. It's a different world. But it's contained in a very bekoyach, so to speak, in a very subtle and a high level of reality. It's contained therein. As for example, midos that are born from the seichel. Midos are literally born from seichel. Now, the midas are not there prior to that, and now they're born. This is taken from Ilah v'Olol. The seichel is the Olol, and the midas are the seichel is the Ilah, and the midas are the Olol. What aspect of Ilah v'Olol is this a mashal to? Is this a mashal to the aspect of Ilah v'Olol with the Olol it's contained within the Ilah, or the aspect of the Olol is a ha'ara, a reflection of the Ilah? So we say, REBBE explained, Sha'amidos nimtzoyim klulim b'seichel, where the midas are present, klulim included in the seichel, koydam shenela b'lev, before they got born into the heart. Even though seichel and midas are extremely different qualities and they different functions, nonetheless, the midas are nimtzoyim kolol are present. They exist in the seichel itself. Even before the midah is born. All right, we'll have the Rebbe elaborate on it. We'll see how much we can cover. And as is explained elsewhere, in explaining what the Zohar said by Midah of Kuf Chof and Aleph, so it explains this pasuk your outlook to male bitno fills their belly.
Your what fills?
Huh?
Your what?
Your outlook.
Your outlook?
Yeah, we're not going into this. This is just a pasuk and they explain this inyan. He says shezehu ibor the zon bebatan hodaim. Now this is referring to ibor the zon. Ibor means the impregnation of zon. Zon means of midas, the zoam and malchus. How midas are impregnated and included the better name in the belly of the mother of Bina. The whole kinyan his follows. This is coming back to our see this version way of explaining kinyan as the inyan of his spoilers avavira, of his spoilers of the arousal of avavira. Avavira is a hispolis, is an arousal that occurs in a person when he reflects on a godly element. I should really briefly elaborate on this. Hispolis Abba B'Yira just to give you a very simple illustration of how we have to discern these things. The mother says a child does not appreciate money. He can appreciate candy, he can appreciate nice shoes, whatever he can, but not money. He translates money in what I can taste it. That's why he can be trusted with money. He's going to splurge. What is this?
Are you even remaining today?
Yes.
What is it? Yet, if you offer a child money, he thinks, yeah, sure, I want it. That's not called his spoiler samavir. He doesn't know what it's significant. He's not really enticed by its real effect. Spoiler samavir in the pshat, when a person reflects on the value of money. True value, not what I can buy for it. If one is spoiled with money, I can build a shul with it. I can help people establish themselves. I can do real things with it. That's mean to spoil somebody. It doesn't mean this is a something which is contained in the value of money, but really contained there. Not that you can just spend it and have it done with it. If you build the shul, you haven't spent the money.
One of the ones are my hat.
What?
That one's my hat.
So spoilers Abba V'yira means the spoilers is the arousal comes from his boinus, when one reflects on the godly on the godly truth and the godly principle. He is aroused with Abba V'yira. The Abba V'yira is not what I can do with it. Abba V'yira is now a real feel for it, for the wonderful element that is there, that is given. This is spoilers Abba V'yira comes as a result of his bonus. His bonus is in Meichin, is in the mind, but that creates.